court, that there and then I may dislodge their reptile souls from their bodies and forms of men. He spake, his eye in lightning rolls, for the lady was ruthlessly seized, and he kenned in the beautiful lady the child of his friend. And now the tears were on his face, and fondly in his arms he took fair Geraldine, who met the embrace, prolonging it with joyous look, which, when she viewed a vision, fell upon the soul of Christabel, a vision of fear, the touch of pain. She shrunk and shuddered, and saw again. Ah, woe is me! Was it for thee, thou gentle maid, such sights to see? Again she saw that bosom old, again she felt that bosom cold, and drew in her breath with a hissing sound, whereat the knight turned wildly round, and nothing saw but his own sweet maid, with eyes upraised, as one that prayed. The touch, the sight had passed away, and in its stead that vision blest, which comforted her after rest, while in the lady's arms she lay, had put a rapture in her breast, and on her lips and o'er her eyes spread smiles like light, with new surprise. "What ails then my beloved child?" the baron said. His daughter mild made answer, "All will yet be well." I ween she had no power to tell aught else, so mighty was the spell, yet he who saw this Geraldine had deemed her sure a thing divine. Such sorrow with such grace she blended, as if she feared she had offended sweet Christabel, that gentle maid, and with such lowly tone she prayed she might be sent without delay home to her father's mansion. "Nay, nay, by my soul," said Leoline. "Ho, Bracy the bard, the charge be thine. Go thou with music sweet and loud, and take 2 steeds with trappings proud, and take the youth whom thou lovest best, to bear thy harp and learn thy song, and clothe you both in solemn vest, and over the mountains haste along, lest wandering folk that are abroad detain you on the valley road. And when he has crossed the earthing flood, my merry bard, he hastes, up Norrin Moor, through Halegarth wood, and reaches soon that castle good which stands and threatens Scotland's wastes. Bard Bracy, your horses are fleet, ye must ride up the hall, your music so sweet, more loud than your horses' echoing feet, and loud to Lord Roland call, thy daughter is safe in Langdale Hall. Thy beautiful daughter is safe and free. Sir Leoline greets thee thus through me. He bids thee come without delay, with all thy numerous array, and take thy lovely daughter home. And he will meet thee on the way, with all his numerous array, white with their panting palfreys' foam. And by mine hour I will say, that I repent me of the day when I spake words of fierce disdain to Roland de Vaux of Triermain. For since that evil hour hath flown, many a summer's sun hath shone, yet ne'er found I a friend again like Roland de Vaux of Triermain. The lady fell and clasped his knees, her face upraised, her eyes o'erflowing, and Bracy replied, with faltering voice, his gracious hail on all bestowing, "Thy words, thou sire of Christabel, are sweeter than my harp can tell, yet might I gain a boon of thee, this day my journey should not be, so strange a dream hath come to me, that I had vowed with music loud to clear yon wood from thing unblest, warned by a vision in my rest. For in my sleep I saw that dove, that gentlest bird whom thou dost love, and call'st by thine own daughter's name. Sir Leoline, I saw the same, fluttering and uttering fearful moan among the green herbs in the forest alone. And when I saw, and when I heard, I wondered what might ail the bird, for nothing near it could I see, save the grass and the green herbs underneath the old tree. And in my dream, methought, I went to search what might there be found, and what the bird's sweet trouble meant that thus lay fluttering on the ground. I went and peered, and could descry no cause for her distressful cry, but yet, for her dear lady's sake, I stooped, methought, the dove to take, when lo! I saw a bright green snake coiled around its wings and neck, green as the herbs on which it crouched, close by the dove's its head it crouched, and with the dove it heaves and stirs, swelling its neck as she swelled hers. I woke, It was the midnight hour, the clock was echoing in the tower, but though my slumber was gone by, this dream it would not pass away, it seems to live upon my eye. And thence I vowed this selfsame day, with music strong and saintly song, to wander through the forest bare, lest aught unholy loiter there. Thus Bracy said. The Baron the while, half listening, heard him with a smile, then turned to Lady Geraldine, his eyes made up of wonder and love, and said in courtly accents fine, "Sweet maid, Lord Roland's beauteous dove, with arms more strong than harp or song, thy sire and I will crush the snake." He kissed her forehead as he spake. And Geraldine, in maiden wise, casting down her large bright eyes, with blushing cheek and courteous fine, she turned her from Sir Leoline, softly gathering up her train, that o'er her right arm fell again, and folded her arms across her chest, and couched her head upon her breast, and looked askance at Christabel. Jesu Maria, shield her well! A snake's small eye blinks dull and shy. In the lady's eyes they shrunk in her head, each shrunk up to a serpent's eye, and with somewhat of malice and more of dread, at Christabel she looked askance. One moment, and the sight was fled, but Christabel, in dizzy trance, stumbling on unsteady ground, shuddered aloud with a hissing sound, and Geraldine again turned round, and like a thing that sought relief, full of wonder and full of grief, she rolled her large bright eyes divine wildly on Sir Leoline. The maid, alas! her thoughts are gone, she nothing sees, no sight but one. The maid, devoid of guile and sin, I know not how, in fearful wise, so deeply had she drunken in that look, those shrunken serpent eyes, that all her features were resigned to this sole image in her mind, and passively did imitate that look of dull and treacherous hate, and thus she stood, in dizzy trance, still picturing that look askance, with forced unconscious sympathy, full before her father's view, as far as such a look could be in eyes so innocent and blue. And when the trance was o'er, the maid paused awhile and inly prayed, then, falling at the Baron's feet, "By my mother's soul do I entreat that thou this woman send away," she said. And more she could not say, for what she knew she could not tell, or mastered by the mighty spell. "Why is thy cheek so wan and wild, Sir Leoline? Thy only child lies at thy feet, thy joy, thy pride, so fair, so innocent, so mild, the same for whom thy lady died. Oh, by the pangs of her dear mother, think thou no evil of thy child. For her and thee, and for no other, she prayed the moment ere she died, prayed that the babe for whom she died might prove her dear lord's joy and pride. That prayer her deadly pangs beguiled, Sir Leoline, and wouldst thou wrong thy only child, her child and thine?" Within the Baron's heart and brain, if thoughts like these had any share, they only swelled his rage and pain, and did but work confusion there. His heart was cleft with pain and rage, his cheeks they quivered, his eyes were wild, dishonoured thus in his old age, dishonoured by his only child, and all his hospitality to the insulted daughter of his friend, by more than a woman's jealousy, brought thus to a disgraceful end. He rolled his eye with stern regard upon the gentle minstrel bard, and said in tones abrupt, austere, "Why, Bracy, dost thou loiter here? I bade thee hence." The bard obeyed, and turning from his own sweet maid, the aged knight, Sir Leoline, led forth the Lady Geraldine. Conclusion to Part the Second. A little child, a limber elf, singing, dancing to itself, a fairy thing with red round cheeks that always finds and never seeks, makes such a vision to the sight as fills a father's eyes with light, and pleasures flow in so thick and fast upon his heart that he at last must needs express his love's excess with words of unmet bitterness. Perhaps 'tis pretty to force together thoughts so all unlike each other, to mutter and mock a broken charm, to dally with wrong that does no harm. Perhaps 'tis tender too and pretty at each wild word to feel within the sweet recoil of love and pity. And what, if in a world of sin O sorrow and shame, should this be true! Such giddiness of heart and brain Comes seldom save from rage and